Well, Donald Trump wins again as he takes the Nevada caucuses.
Here are the results. Trump wins with 46% support. Senator Rubio came in second with 24%. Senator Cruz was right behind him with 21%. Carson and Kasich were far behind. Joining us now to talk about the presidential race has been Epstein, an assistant political science professor at DePaul University. We'll also talk about the Democrats with their town hall meeting tonight on CNN. Trump did well with Hispanics. How do you explain that, considering his past comments?
It's an interesting scenario. I don't think most people would have expected that. I think that you want to look at overall numbers of Hispanic caucus goers in Nevada, so I think that that says something. I think that Trump is tapping into something really real. He's tapping into something that is based in anger and frustration and this outsider role, and I think that cuts across a lot of different demographics.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this real briefly. There's a new poll that just came out. 57% of voters are just sick of political heads, and they want an outsider. Is that what you think is fueling sort of Trump's momentum? Is that what may get him the nomination?
I think that that's a huge part of it, right? There were analysts last night talking about, in a really positive way, how he's tapping into anger. That's a strength of his.
Even in the way that he talks sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, he is, I think most people that are looking at this would describe him as a sort of modern demagogue. So, and it's interesting thinking about how powerful that is when people are frustrated with the way that government works.
So if he is not the established candidate and the establishment candidate is Rubio, how do they catch Trump?
The math is not impossible, but it's difficult. They're very early on in the process in terms of actually accumulating delegates, but the truth is that in order to catch Trump, you really need to eliminate all but probably one candidate, and that's the challenge.
But do you see something happening at the convention?
It's a possibility. It would be.
It doesn't sound like a likely possibility in your eyes.
It's unlikely historically, but it's definitely a real possibility, especially if Cruz stays in for a long time, if Kasich stays in for a long time. They're going to all be able to hold on to their delegates, and they need to get to that magic number, over 1,200 delegates, to actually win.
Do you see Cruz staying in it for a while here, and Rubio? I mean, they certainly are getting the dollars to do so.
Absolutely, yeah. You need dollars to stay in the race. You need support to stay in the race. The Cruz ground game and organization is really strong. Rubio has an incredible amount of support, and I don't see either of these two fading. And as Trump said last night, that if anyone does bow out, it doesn't mean that all of the candidates and all of the support go away from him. Some of those supporters, especially Cruz supporters, I think, would gravitate towards Trump.
Let's take a look at the Democratic side, town hall meeting coming up. Do you think Bernie Sanders,
last night,
it was last time, sorry, Bernie Sanders should hit Clinton on the email scandal, considering in the polls she is vulnerable, her truthfulness has been a vulnerability?
Whether he should, it's a good question, but I think that it's pretty notable to compare the Republican and Democratic races so far in terms of their tone. The Sanders and Clinton campaigns, they're running very serious, very hard-fought campaigns, but it's very civil, compared to how these things could go. Could he hit her harder on that? Sure. I think that that's a strategy that he could do, but pretty early on, he really suggested that that's not something he wanted to talk about a lot.
All right, Bernie Sanders needs to start doing better with minority voters, right? Last night, the issue of race came up. Did he address it in a way that would win him votes?
I think the shorter answer is not particularly well, in my opinion. I think that they were in South Carolina last night. The core of the Democratic voters in South Carolina is really the African-American vote, and both candidates were really speaking to that. I think that Bernie Sanders is really consistent in his message, and he was really likable and really personable last night. But most of his issues on race are really seen through the lens of the economy, and that sometimes is not resonating, especially when Clinton has decades of relationship with that community.
Building relationships, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Ben Epstein, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.
University. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.